Okay, you're all set to go, Mr. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Good evening, everyone, members of the public, staff, and council. Welcome to Monday, July 19th, Committee of Adjustment meeting. Can I have someone call the meeting to order? Moved by Councillor Lang, second by Councillor Jaworski. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you. Can I have an approval of the agenda? Moved by Councillor Jaworski, second by Councillor Lang. All those in favor of the agenda as presented? Motion is carried. Thank you. Moving on to number 3, approval of the minutes of the June 21st meeting. I assume Councillor Lang, are you talking? I can't hear you. Oh, sorry.
I'll move it.
Okay. Okay, good enough. Moved by Councillor Lang to approve the minutes of the June 21st meeting. Can I get a seconder? Moved by Councillor Jaworski. All those in favor of approving the minutes? Motion is carried. Thank you very much. Are there any declaration of pecuniary interest? Seeing none, I'll hand it over to Ms. Haley, number 5A 17-21, Cardinal. Ms. Haley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll just begin my presentation. Okay, can everyone see my screen? Thank you. Okay, so welcome everyone to our meeting this evening. For the members of the public that are participating by Zoom or by phone, you will be permitted to speak to the respective application following my presentation. Prior to speaking, please state your name and address for the record. If you wish to make a comment, please use the raise hand function and the chair will call on you. If you have registered to participate in the meeting by phone to speak to the applications, you will be asked if you would like to comment on the application after the applicable presentation. So now I'm going to read required wording under the Ontario Planning Act. This is a hearing under Section 44 of the Ontario Planning Act. Any person may attend this hearing and or make written or verbal representation either in support of or in opposition to the proposed minor variance. If a person or public body does not make oral or written submissions at this hearing before the minor variance is decided upon, the person or public body is not entitled to appeal the decision of the minor variance of the Committee of Adjustment to the Ontario Land Tribunal, also known as OLT. If a person or public body does not make oral submissions at a hearing or make written submissions to the Committee of Adjustment of the Township of South Glengarry before the minor variance is decided upon, the person or public body may not be added as a party to the hearing of an appeal before the OLT unless, in the opinion of the tribunal, there are reasonable grounds to do so. So we have 2 applications on our agenda this evening. We'll start off with A1721. This property is located in part of Lot 3, Registered Plan number 101, in the geographic township of Charlottenburg, now in South Glengarry, located at the west end of Elm Avenue in the settlement area of Glenwalter. This is the location of where the property is. You can see the area that's outlined in black, or it's solid black, and it would be located at the very end of Elm Street, backing onto a private water ski lake. So I'm going to give you a little bit of background information in terms of this property. A building lot was recently granted provisional consent, which is also known as a severance application or a severance, and it was subject to a condition to apply for a minor variance to reduce the watercourse setbacks to the proposed dwelling and to reduce the minimum lot frontage. Therefore, the minor variance that has been requested this evening is to reduce the watercourse setback from 30 meters to 50 meters from the McNairn Drain and from 30 meters to 15 meters from the privately owned man-made water ski lake. The reason for the reduction in the watercourse setback from the privately owned water ski lake is simply because fish habitat is now located in that lake. Part 6.2 is also being requested to reduce the minimum lot frontage from 40 meters to 20 meters. And that's because the public road width of Elm Avenue is 20 meters or 66 feet. So this is a sketch that's been provided. The property has been surveyed in order to be able to create it by consent. The driveway that's shown here is an approximate location, and where the dwelling is proposed, you'll see they'll be able to meet the 15 meter watercourse setback from the McNairn Drain, as well as the requested 15 meter watercourse setback from the water ski lake. The property is designated residential district in the county official plan and is located in the urban settlement area of Glen Walter. And the application does conform to the general intent of the official plan. And the property is zoned residential 1 holding and conforms to the general intent of the zoning bylaw. This application was circulated to applicable staff. Municipal and planning have no concerns with the application. You often hear me say that if any applicant can meet a 15-meter watercourse setback, that's something that we can support because that's how our bylaw reads, being that it can be reduced to 15 meters. We've also involved the roads department and the drainage superintendent in the consent process. And the reason for that was simply because of the access for the proposed lot. We talked about snow removal, snow storage, and of course we had to involve the drainage superintendent because of the municipal drain is located in that in front of that property. The Raisin Region Conservation Authority was circulated on the application. They have no concerns, and they've asked me to remind the applicant that they're responsible to obtain a regulation permit prior to construction. And I did receive 1 written public comment to date opposing the minor variance. I am going to read out this comment. And we did receive this because the participant was going to be unavailable due to previously planned vacation. So if you don't mind, I would like to share this information. The budding property owner, Samantha Henson, is objecting to the application for various reasons. What they would like most about purchasing a house in this area were the large lots and spaces between homes. Therefore, we believe we have the right to not have a house built only 20 feet away from our property line. This new build will ruin the privacy we have. New development should be compatible and respect the established physical character of the neighborhood and respecting our right to the distance required by the bylaws. Another point the abutting property owner made was, what is the need for a new lot in the area when there is an empty lot 4 properties down that already backs onto the private land? Instead of seeing an empty, sometimes overgrown lot, why not build there? There are also tons of empty lots off Yacht Boulevard, which would also back onto the private land. The third point is, we purchased our home on a quiet dead end, specifically due to the fact that it was safe, quiet space to raise 2 young children. Therefore, to have a driveway/traffic would disrupt the reason we purchased here. It was also previously stated that the new lot would have to require space for the municipal snowplow to be able to turn around. The new sketch does not meet this requirement. The existing McNairn drain is already causing our property to constantly have land erosion. We have had to add ground yearly to keep raising our property. This issue is constantly being ignored and overlooked by the township. With the addition of another house adding more runoff onto the drain, we fear this will just add to the existing issue. And the last point is, as per the new drawing of where the new build would be located, it appears that their driveway would be starting directly on the corner of our property. How are guests supposed to park in front of our house on the road without blocking access to their driveway? So if there's any questions, I can do my best to speak to that. And if not, Mr. Chair, I'd be happy to just answer any general questions. So thank you. And I'll stop sharing my screen so we can see everyone.
Thank you very much, Ms. Haley, for your presentation. Are the individuals who are applying for this, are they present this evening?
Yes, Mr. Cardinal is representing the numbered company and he is attending the meeting this evening.
Okay, I guess the only point that I would like to make sure that the proponent is aware of, that the 15 meters starts at the edge of the veranda, not at the edge of the house. We've run into some situations where the structure is 15 meters, but the veranda encroaches, so they need to make sure that it's the veranda is the 15-meter mark, and then the house can go after. Okay, are there any questions of committee members? Councillor Jaworski, and I do see Mr. Bates has his hand up, so once the committee has gone through the questions, I'll open the floor up to the participants. Councillor Jaworski.
Thank you, through you, Chair. So just because the folks who had those questions mailed in who are not here, I guess I just wanted to explore those questions further, or the answers to those from Ms. Haley, just so that they would be on the public record. Like, in terms of this lot size, I mean, I recognize the minor variance today is about watercourse setback, but in terms of the size of the lot, the location of where the house could be in terms of the property line, you know, some that relates a bit to the concerns of the of those people. Can you elaborate on that? How this
Sure.
lot would compare to that?
Because this area is located in a private serviced area, meaning that it's on a private septic system and a well, in order to create a lot, the property has to be a minimum of 1 acre in size, and they were able to achieve that minimum lot area. So this lot will actually be larger than most of the existing properties located on Elm and Southern and in that area. We also have been able to confirm that they're able to meet the other required setbacks as per the zoning bylaw.
Okay. Could I supplemental?
Yes.
Please? And just the questions about where the driveway is, road, and the turnaround. Can you elaborate on how where would that turnaround go? Like, it seems like you have to go over the drain to get to the property. I mean, the turnaround's not going to go on the drain, right?
That is correct. So through you, Mr. Chair. So currently there is no turnaround in that location. And the snowplow would have to drive in, head west, and back up to turn around from the corner. And so that was reviewed by our roads manager. And they also reviewed if there'd be ability to have some snow storage, because there's currently not really snow storage in this location. So they feel that they're able to achieve the snow storage with the new driveway. The driveway that's shown on the drawing is going to be approximate. Until they apply for an entrance permit, the exact location will be determined at the time that an entrance permit is issued. And that's if this minor variance is approved. So it could be possible that that driveway may have to shift slightly to the south. And I mean, that's just what the applicant is proposing at this time. So we don't foresee really any changes in terms of the way we do snow removal currently with that new lot being created, because the turnaround just isn't there.
Okay. And in terms of their concern about parking, again, that's just the sketch is not necessarily how it will end up. There could be very well still space along the edge of the road.
Right. And to address the parking comment, currently any visitors couldn't park really right at the dead end without blocking the end of the road anyway. I mean, I suppose they could, but they wouldn't be on the side of the road. So if an entrance is approved in that location, you would continue driving west into the new driveway. You're going to be able to still park off to the side on the road and avoid the entrance of the driveway.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Are there any questions of the other committee members? Councillor Lang.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and through you. Most of what I was going to say, Joanna's kind of covered. In looking at it yesterday, I know change is hard to accept for some people, but this house is going to be on the other side of that drain. It doesn't look like it's going to be bothering these people at all. It's the lot that they're going to be building on is quite a bit larger than the lot in question, of the neighbors. There's a wall of trees in between. When I went onto the other side where the house was going to be, I couldn't even see the neighbor's house. So, and as far as parking on the road, I mean, you can't decide that you don't want a neighbor because you want to be able to use that roadway to park. That doesn't seem like a fair thing for neighbors. And I don't think you can also say, well, there's lots available in other places, so we prefer you to buy one somewhere else. That doesn't seem to be a valid reason, As far as the drainage, I guess, our drainage superintendent has looked at it. So if he's happy with it, then I think I'm happy with it. The land is already mowed lawn where this house is going to be. So any water that was going to run in there would be running in already, I would think. And, I can't see any reason to oppose this. In looking at it, it seemed to make sense to me.
Okay, thank you for your comments, Councillor Lang. Councillor McDonnell, you're okay? Okay, I'll allow Mr. David Bates, pardon me if I pronounced your name wrong, to speak. And please state your name and address for the record, sir. You should be able to speak, sir. Oh, hang on, try this again. There you go, you should be able to go. Seem to be not able to hear you. Is anybody else hearing anything?
Can you hear me now?
There we go. Yes, sir. Yeah.
I see my name, David Beats, 6706 Sutherland Avenue. A couple of questions. I know we'll be getting into the access to the property. When they go for the access with a culvert, will that bridge be the same width of Elm Street?
Same width as what street? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
When they put the culvert access and they go and you get access with the culvert going across to the proposed property, will that drain and that bridge be the same width as Elm Street right now?
Okay, the full width of the street. Ms. Haley, are you able to answer that question?
Mr. Chair, I'll do my best to answer that question. One of the conditions as part of the severance application was to have an engineer's report completed to make sure that the drain could be altered to install a culvert in that drain. And as you know, we would have to follow the requirements of the Ontario Drainage Act. The firm McIntosh Perry was retained to complete the design and the review to ensure that a culvert could be placed in that location. It will not be a bridge, it'll be a culvert. It'll be a large culvert given the depth of that drain and the width of that drain. At this time, I can't speak to or give you a specific measurement of exactly how wide it will be, but I can tell you that that review has been completed and been reviewed. And the reason why is today we're focusing on the reduction of the watercourse setback, and we're focusing on a reduction of public road frontage. We're not talking about the design of the entranceway, the design of the culvert, the design of the drain. And that's why that information is not, provided specifically to the committee, because we're still in that process of, it's been designed, but the application hasn't been applied for the entrance permit.
Okay.
Mr. Beats, do you have any other questions?
Follow-up question would be the trees that were mentioned that are obviously right now are in good condition. Obviously, when houses are built and it looks like the back of the property will be where the septic field will be, I guess the concern we have, being a couple of doors down, is soil erosion and what will actually happen to those existing trees. Will they hopefully, stay intact and not fall apart? And if they do, what kind of backup plan does the owner have in regards to that?
Ms. Haley?
Mr. Chair, perhaps the applicant can speak to that, because at this point, we don't have a policy that requires them to keep the trees. And so it'd be best to hear from the applicant in terms of their intention of the landscaping in that location.
Mr. Cardinal, did you want to speak to that? You're able to unmute yourself.
There we go. You hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Our intentions is to keep all the trees. We may have to get rid of one, but we're going to try to do our best to keep them. As far as the erosion, I think Mr. Lang already expressed his feeling that right now it's all grass, and we cut the grass there every week. It will continue to be cut. So I don't know why there would be more erosion than there is now. So those trees have been there for 25 years. I planted them in November 95, and they're supposed to be good for 100 years. So I hope they'll be there for 100 years.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Beats, does that answer your question?
It answers my question for now. And like you say, we'll have to wait to see when the house is built and what happens with the trees. And like Mr. Cardinal says, hopefully in a perfect world, they stay there and they do their job that they've been doing since 1995. And I guess if something happens, I guess we'll address it at that time. That being said, I have a tendency sometimes to think the worst. So if something happens where there is an erosion and by chance you lose those trees, does the township get involved or is it the owner's responsibility?
it's a private matter. At that point, it's a private matter. If all of
Okay.
the regulations of the proponent builds the house according to the building code, the planning act, follows the setbacks of the minor variance, at that point, it becomes a civil matter if you find that you're being affected by it negatively.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, can we have someone move to approve as presented? Moved by Councillor McDonnell, second by Councillor Lane. All those in favor of the application? Application is approved. Moving on to A18-21, Ms. Haley.
Okay, so this property is located at part of lot 26, concession 1 front in the geographic township of Charlottenburg, now in South Glengarry, and it's located on the northeast corner of Ray Road and County Road 2. And here's a map of the property, and you can see this is County Road 2 along here, and then Ray Road would be adjacent to the yellow line. The purpose of this minor variance is the applicant proposes to construct a single detached dwelling, and the following relief from the zoning bylaw 3809 is requested: to reduce the front yard / exterior side yard setback from 15 meters to 7.6 meters. I'm just going to go back and I think I'll explain. I'll jump to this slide if you don't mind. So this is a sketch that was provided to us from the applicant, and you can see that County Road 2 is at the bottom of the sketch. Ray Road is to the left-hand side of my screen. And you can see the orientation of the house is slightly slanted facing southwest. The front yard setback and the exterior side yard setback is the same in terms of 15 meters. The reduction is for the west side off of Ray Road to reduce to 7.6 meters. And to be clear, one of the reasons why I included the front yard / exterior side yard is because it depends on how the individual interprets what is a front yard in this location. The positive thing is, if this is considered the rear yard, they can still meet the minimum setback, and they can still meet the minimum setback in this location. So I'm just going to go back to describing the policies that are in effect. So the property is designated rural settlement area in the county official plan, and the application conforms to the general intent of the OP. And the property is zoned residential 1, and it conforms to the general intent of the zoning bylaw. The application was circulated to applicable municipal staff, and planning and building have no concerns. The United Counties have issued a setback permit for the proposed dwelling already, and therefore they have no concerns. I did receive one phone call from an abutting property owner asking for information on the required setbacks and the location of the proposed dwelling. I was able to provide that property owner the copy of the sketch that I just pointed out to you, and I've not received any written or negative comments. I really believe that individual was just looking for clarification. So that's why I was outlining or highlighting the different setbacks in that location. And I've received no other comments or questions to date. So let me know if you have any further questions. Thank you.
You're going to go back to not sharing your screen?
I can do that. Sorry, I forgot.
That's okay. Thank you. I seen Councillor Lang's hand up first, then Councillor Jaworski. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. Just wanted to say that it was quite helpful when I went to the site that they had it staked out with marking tape, and it's quite a bit easier when you see that to see where the house is going to be and how it's going to be situated and laid out. So not that I'm saying we should recommend everybody do that, but thanks to them for doing it. It made it a lot easier.
For sure. Councillor Jaworski.
Thank you. So a question from Ms. Haley. In terms of front yard setback, and in this location where it's like, heavily traveled road both ways, Ray and County Road 2, is there any, in terms of like the original logic of why we want such a large front yard setback, is there any concern here or any other, negatives that we should be considering in terms of, road clearance or snow accumulation, that sort of thing?
So that's a really good question. And all of our rural lots that aren't really in a village setting, we always want a 15-meter front yard setback just because there's generally adequate space when the minimum lot area is 1 acre. And what you're looking at when you're reducing those setbacks is to make sure that if and when this, I shouldn't say if, when the snowplow goes by, that there's adequate space between where the plowing occurs to where the snow is going to end up, so that you're not throwing snow on person's front step. You also want to make sure that there's adequate space for parking, especially in a rural area. It's not easy to do on-road parking, and especially in winter clearance time. And so those are the things that are usually considered with exterior side yard and front yard setbacks. But there's no reason why, and well, as you know, under the Planning Act, they allow you to apply for variances to reduce it, but we're still looking at a decent distance of over 7 meters that will give adequate space for clearing and parking and to occur.
Okay, thank you. If I could just have one quick supplemental. I'm sorry, I missed it. Which side, where is the entrance going to be? On which road?
So the entrance is actually going to be on, I need to go back and look, but on Ray Road. It's not clearly identified in here. And the reason why I know that is because when you look at the drawing that's been provided to you, there's a square kind of on the back of the drawing, or a rectangle on the back of the drawing, which is actually the garage. So they'll be coming in off of Ray Road and pulling into the garage in that location.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I know our county engineer, and I know you would never allow an entrance permit there off the county road. So
exactly, that's exactly what I was going to say. And another comment to add to Councillor Lang's comment about the property being staked. This was a situation where the building permit was applied for and the applicant was ready to go, and it was found by our building official that it didn't meet the requirements. So I think you were just really lucky that they were at that stage of the process, because normally people are applying for variances the months or maybe even a year in advance of construction occurring. So you're not going to get that lucky on every site visit you have, as you know.
good. That's perfect. Glad to see something happening on this lot. It's been vacant for many, many years. Are there any other questions of the committee? Seeing none, I see we have, I believe, the applicant and the applicant's agent. Do either one of you, would either one of you like to speak to the committee? I've allowed you to unmute yourselves should you choose. And I'm going to say they don't want to speak to it. Can I get a mover and a seconder? All those in, moved by Councillor McDonnell, second by Councillor Jaworski. All those in favor of the application? Approved. Thank you very much. Back to the agenda, number 7, next meeting. Ms. Haley?
So we don't have a committee of adjustment meeting scheduled for August 3rd. There is a gap between August 3rd and September 7th, I'm sorry. It may be possible, Mr. Chair, that I would have to reach out to you to see if there would be a way we could schedule a committee of adjustment meeting. At this time, it's possible that I'll have one application and the applicant may be wanting to have it heard before September 7th, but I do need the approval of yourself as the chair in order to schedule that. So as soon as I know, I will be reaching out to you. And if not, we'll go for the September 7th meeting. Well,
if we are over the minimum amount of time, we will definitely schedule a meeting to be in compliance with the Planning Act. So we'll leave it at that for now. Thank you very much. And we have a public meeting in a minute.
We do.